Reading. Pass the mic around and for the pleasure. Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wanders from one planet to another, following fruitive activities. In this way, he involves himself in the fruitive activities and enjoys the results incessantly.
In this way, the living entity gets a suitable body with a material mind and senses, according to his fruitive activities. When the reaction of his particular activity comes to an end, that end is called death. And when a particular type of reaction begins, that beginning is called birth.
When the eyes lose their power to see color or form due to morbid affliction of the optic nerve, the sense of sight becomes deadened. The living entity, who is the seer of both the eyes and the sight, loses his power of vision. In the same way, when the physical body, the place where perception of objects occurs, is rendered incapable of perceiving, that is known as death. When one begins to view the physical body as one's very self, that is called birth.
Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose.
Endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude toward material identity, one should relegate his body to this illusory world through his reason. Thus one can be unconcerned with this material world.
Today's focus verse is text number 47. Tasman na karya santraso na karpanyam na sambramaha budva jivakatim diro mukta sangash charit iha tasman akarya santraso na karpanyam na sambramaha budva jivakatim diro mukta sangas charet iha tasman akarya santraso na karpanyam na sambramaha budva jivakatim diro mukta sangas charet iha tasman akarya santrasno Nandra tasman akaya santrasno tasman akarya santraso nakarapanyam sambramaha budva jiva katindira
Mutta Sangastudeha. Word for word transliteration. Tasmat, on account of death. Na, not. Karya, should be done. Santasa, horror. Na, not. Karpanyam, miserliness. Na, not. Sambramaha, eagerness for material gain. Budva, realizing. Jivakatim, the true nature of the living entity. Dhira, steadfast. Mukta Sangha, free from attachment. Karet, one should move about. Iha, in this world. Translation. Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A sane person who has understood the philosophy of life and death is very upset upon hearing of the horrible, hellish condition of life in the womb of the mother or outside of the mother, but one who has to make a solution to the problems of life. A sane man should understand the miserable condition of this material body. Without being unnecessarily upset, he should try to find out if there is a remedy. The remedial measures can be understood when one associates with persons who are liberated. It must be understood who is actually liberated. The liberated person is described in the Bhagavad Gita, one who engages in uninterrupted devotional service to the Lord, having surpassed the stringent laws of material nature, is understood to be situated in Brahman. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond the material creation. It is admitted even by impersonalists like Shankaracharya that Narayana is transcendental to this material creation. As such, when one actually engages in the service of the Lord in various forms, either Narayana or Radhakrishna or Sitaram, he is understood to be on the platform of liberation. The Bhagavatam also confirms that liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position. Since a living entity is eternally the servitor of the Supreme Lord, when one seriously and sincerely engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he is situated in the position of liberation. One should try to associate with a liberated person, and then the problems of life, namely birth and death, can be solved. Would someone else like to continue? I'm reading.
While discharging devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, one should not be miserly. He should not unnecessarily show that he has renounced this world. Actually, renunciation is not possible. If one renounces his palatial building and goes to a forest, there is actually no renunciation, for the palatial building is the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the forest is also the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he changes from one property to another, that does not mean that he renounces. He was never the proprietor of either the palace or the forest. Renunciation necessitates renouncing the false understanding that one can lord it over material nature. When one renounces this false attitude and renounces the puffed up position that he is also God, that is real renunciation. Otherwise, there is no meaning of renunciation. Rupa Goswami advises that if one renounces anything which could be applied in the service of the Lord and does not use it for that purpose, that is called Falgu Vairagya, insufficient or false renunciation. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Nothing should be used for one's sense gratification. That is real renunciation. Nor should one unnecessarily increase the necessities of the body. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. We should spend our time executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That is the solution to the problem of life and death.
Thank you. Om Ganata Madandasya. Can someone get me some water? I'm beginning to lose my voice here. Om Ganata Madandasya Ganandana Shalakaya Chakshrumaytang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamubha Kadamayam Dadati Svabadantikam Bandehang Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shta Shri Rupam Sargrajatam Sahagana Raganatang Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutang Purajana Saitang Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Shta Shri Krishna Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishibhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakopa Dubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Padidinang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Nanda Prabhu. And thank you to all the wonderful devotees. I'm very grateful to be in the presence of so many wise, wonderful, warm-hearted, and welcoming devotees. It is truly an honor and privilege, and I pray for your blessings. So this morning we are reading from the third canto. Does anyone remember the text number? 47? Chapter 31, right. Very good, very sharp memory. Oh, okay. I'm just meditating on how these are all prime numbers, right? They're numbers that can only be divided by themselves in one, right? So, and Srila Prabhupada says that the prime necessity of human life is to carry out the orders of the spiritual master. Right? That's a prime duty. So we're learning this morning how to come to solve the problems of life and death. So this is a great journey. Here we are at the corner of Beacon and Curly Avenue. I was just meditating on the way here. How appropriate this temple is at the corner of Beacon Street. Beacon means light. And Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Te shamevanukam partam aham agyana jangdama nashimya amabhavasto gyanati pena basvata. Does anyone know the translation? Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling within their hearts, destroy with a shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So, being surrounded by devotees means to put ourselves in the situation of light, where we're surrounded by beacons of light. And as soon as we remove ourselves from the association of devotees, we put ourselves in darkness. And there's three significant words that I picked out of this purport. There's so many. Every word is significant, okay. But there's three that really caught my attention. So it says that in the translation, realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. So I'd like to talk a little today about being steadfast in purpose. I'd also like to, if we have time, which is very quickly fleeting, talk a little bit about being, as it says here at the end of the purport, we should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. So these two words, steadfast and self-satisfied, these are actually qualities of Krishna. Krishna is steadfast. It explains in the Nectar of Devotion. I'd like to read it verbatim because it's such a beautiful definition. A person who continues to work until his desired goal is achieved is called steadfast. And that is the quality of Krishna that Srila Rupa Goswami explains was exhibited when the Shamataka jewel was stolen. Actually, Prashnena, I believe Prashnena was the son of King Satyajit. And he was in the forest displaying this jewel, this valuable jewel that could produce mounds of gold. Anyone who had the jewel and worshipped it could get mounds of gold every day. And then the jewel was stolen. Well, actually, really it wasn't stolen. It was just a lion killed Prashnena and had the jewel. And then Jambavan killed the lion and took the jewel. He didn't think it was such a great thing. He just gave it to his little son to play with. And as the son was playing with it, Krishna came because Krishna, everyone was defaming Krishna. Right? So Krishna, he doesn't care about his own necessarily being blasphemed or glorified. And this is one of his qualities in that he's self-satisfied. An example of his self-satisfaction is given that when Shishupal was insulting Krishna, he just kept insulting him for I think it was 108 times, right? He just insult after insult, right? But Rupa Goswami notes that the sages the Brahmins began to offer, prayers to Krishna, because if someone, let's say, if I were to start insulting Sankirtan Prabhu, right? And let's say, you rascal, you this, you that, right? So your natural tendency would be to want to, oh, wait a minute. Sankirtan's a nice devotee. He's got so many wonderful qualities. So that's our nature, right? So in the same way, the Brahmins, hearing Krishna being blasphemed, they started to praise Krishna and glorify him, to counteract the blasphemy. And they noticed when they were doing this that Krishna was not at all disturbed. Another example of Krishna's being self-satisfied is when Bhima had killed Jarasandha. Right? But the only way he could kill Jarasandha is because, he'd been fighting for so many days and they were both so equally matched. So Bhima was bewildered. How am I going to kill him? He's such a powerful demon. So Krishna, what do you do? He picks up a blade of grass, right? And he tears it in two like that. So that was the hint, that Jarasandha, actually, he was two pieces, right? Had been joined together. A witch found him in the forest. He had been two pieces, and she joined the body together to make one. So Krishna was indicating to Bhima, you just have to pull his legs and you can pull him apart just like a blade of grass. So Krishna, he gave all credit to the killing of Jarasandha, this great king who was so powerful. He gave all credit to Bhima. Isn't that amazing? How Krishna, he's not disturbed if he doesn't get credit. He wants to give credit to his devotee, right? Because Krishna is self-satisfied. He's satisfied in himself. So let me ask the dear devotees, why is Krishna self-satisfied? Any thoughts? He's supreme controller, right? Yes. He's the reservoir of all pleasure. Thank you, Prabhupada. That was just a Jumna giving a nice comment that Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. I'm sorry, but what is your name? Parameshwar Das. When Parameshwar Das Prabhupada said that Krishna is the supreme controller. Any other thoughts on why Krishna is self-satisfied? Mother Kaylee. Yes. So Mother Kaylee says that Krishna. Can you crystallize that for me? Like,
He has like a wider vision. He has a greater realization of everybody's inner wants and desires.
Okay, so Krishna he's full. He sees everything. He perceives everything simultaneously. He knows what everyone's desires are, and his mood is to serve everyone's desires. Just to do it, yeah.
He's not insecure about anything. He doesn't need someone to praise him to know how great he is. He already has so many devotees who love him that he isn't looking for people to love him.
Yes. So. I'm sorry, Mataji, what is your name? Ishwari? Ishwari Kumari Babu, yes. Hare Krishna.
I think since Krishna has created this material world, so he knows this material world is temporary, so he's not attached with anything. So he's not.
Right, so Krishna.
Including all the qualities that he is a controller, he is like always Sachidanand. So.
Yes, he's as you said, he created everything. So there's nothing that he hankers for, like we do. We hanker for something, right? But Krishna's totally self-satisfied. Another thought that came to my mind. Oh, yes, go ahead. Yes. For the benefit of those of you who are online, I'm sorry, what is your name? What is it? Kamala Gopi. Yes, right. We should have been passing the mic around. We're getting so many gems of realization. Kamala Gopi said that Krishna knows that if the demons blaspheme him, that they're going to get liberation. So that's that's actually one of Krishna's qualities. That's his 59th quality, is he gives salvation to the demons that he kills. So if he gives salvation to the demons that he kills, to those who blaspheme him, even though they are taking a path which is very difficult, And it may take a long time, but we see in the example of Kamsa how he was thinking intensely about Krishna. Krishna is so kind that just by even thinking of an enmity, he became purified. So these are all beautiful answers, and to add to the this little pot of gems, I was thinking also that Krishna is self-satisfied because he has Srimati Radharani. He has the internal potency is within him, and he manifests that externally as Srimati Radharani. So in order to, as the last verse says, to overcome the problems of birth and death, just like Krishna says in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, ante kala kalevaram mukta Antakalachame eva smaramukva kalevaram yaprati smadbhavam yatinasi asasamshaya. Thank you. Radha and Kalachandji were so beautifully dressed today, weren't they? It was amazing. And when I first came in the temple today, I heard this kirtan, and like I wanted to get here earlier, but the electricity went out, and I was like, all kinds of things happened. It was like such an enthusiastic kirtan. Now you see why. Look at the beautiful deities. So by meditating on Krishna, it says that anyone at the time of death remembers me alone at once attains to that nature. Of this there is no doubt. So that nature is one of Krishna's nature. Part of Krishna's nature is he's self-satisfied. Another aspect of Krishna's nature is that he's steadfast. So simply by meditating on Krishna, we revive these qualities which are present in the soul. That's from the 8th chapter, text number 5. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita, I'm sorry, yeah. So it's 8:16 now. I'd just like to close class with a short story, and then open up for discussion. I'd like to tie this story into our verse because we're talking about solving the problems of birth and death through devotional service, as Krishna says in the 14th chapter, text 26. Mam chayo avacharena patiyogena sevate sagunan santityam brahmabhaya kalpate. That by fully engaging in devotional service with unfailing in any circumstance, one immediately transcends the 3 modes of material natures and comes to the level of Brahman. So this engagement of devotional service involves being in the association of devotees. So there was once a story, this was told by my godbrother Sankirtan Das, of this monastery where no one was coming to the monastery. And the building was falling apart. There wasn't enough food for the monks. Life looked very dismal. So the monks got together and said, we have to do something. This is like, otherwise the monastery is going to fade away into oblivion. So they said, well, there's one wise man not too far from here. He lives in a cave. Go and ask him. Maybe he can give us some light. So they went to him, and they told him all the problems they were having, all the financial problems, and all the building problems, and this problem and that problem. They just had a long laundry list of problems. And the wise man, the saint, he just shook his head. He said, I don't know. You're really in a tough position. It's like on the horns of a dilemma. It doesn't seem like whatever you do is going to work. He says, I wish you all the best. And then the monks started to walk away. But as they were just about to leave, he said, wait, there's one thought I had. There is one amongst you who is the Messiah. And the monks were thinking, what? One of us is the Messiah? So your brother John was thinking, well, Brother George, how could he be the Messiah? He eats too much, And Brother George was thinking, well, Brother Frederick, he sleeps too much. It's kind of each in their minds. But they started thinking that, well, maybe if we start treating each other in that way, maybe that will, something might happen. So the monks started doing like that. They started treating each other with so much love and respect that when one day, after many months, after no one had come to the monastery, one day someone came and they saw this loving reciprocation going on between these monks. And oh my God, what are they tasting? They're experiencing something, this loving environment. So then that person went and told his friends, and then his friend came, and then it just snowballed after that. Then people started coming. So in this way, the monastery was rejuvenated. So I just wanted to close, and I'm very honored to have been in the presence of so many wonderful, wise, warm-hearted, welcoming devotees for the past couple of months. And the spiritual environment here is truly invigorating. I will certainly request all of my God brothers and God sisters in New Vrindavan to come to Dallas make this part of their yearly pilgrimage, to taste the beautiful relationships that are here amongst devotees and the beautiful darshan of Radhikala Chanji. I was about to say that I think Radhikala Chanji are the most beautiful deities in the world, but then I realized, wait a minute, Radha Vrindavan Chandra is also beautiful. But different flavor of beauty, I guess, seems like Radha Kala Chanji just looks so happy and boisterous and friendly to me. Anyway, when I look at him, when I look at Vrindavan Chandra, he looks so mystical and, alluring, so they both have their unique beauty. And in the same way, each devotee in this temple has their own unique Krishna conscious beauty. And the more we connect to Krishna, the more that beauty will begin to reveal itself. So I've gone way over time. It's 8:22, which I believe is an even number. It's okay. Anyone like to make any additions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for class. I really appreciate your love for the devotees. It's so inspiring, and I like your comment on the beauty of the uniqueness of each devotee. It's really sweet. We all have different places, our own kind of beauty. So I was having a thought when you asked this question about why Krishna is self-satisfied. I'd just like to see what you think. I was thinking that Krishna realizes, from this verse, that he realizes who he is. We don't know who we are, so we're constantly looking elsewhere. We're not satisfied because we don't really know who we are. But Krishna, he knows who he is. And then you mentioned that he is self-satisfied because he has Radharani. And I'm wondering a little bit about that because I feel that though Krishna is satisfied because of Radharani, I feel that it kind of comes from is it coming from a different place where he doesn't when he is self-satisfied, not putting Radharani in the equation at the moment, he's then having a relationship with Radharani because he wants to and because he actually loves her, not because he needs to. He's satisfied even without her. But not to say that, but it's just because the relationship is different. That he when you want to be with someone than when you need to be with someone, if he's satisfied. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yeah, thank you for this question. It's forcing me to dig deeper behind the surface. I mean, dig deeper into this meditation of Krishna's self-satisfaction. And as you were saying that, does, Jai Shri Shri Radha Kalachandji. What Krishna, of course, Radharani is the manifestation of Krishna's internal potency, and he manifests, so that in a sense, Radharani is non-different from Krishna's very self, But at the same time, we learn that Krishna, even though he's independent and he's totally detached from creation, he's attracted by love.
Mm-hmm.
This is Krishna's 40th quality. He's controlled by love. And even though he needs nothing, and yet he is pleasure-seeking, just like we're pleasure-seeking. That's where we get our pleasure-seeking tendency from, is from Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just looking in the wrong place. But Krishna realizes through unconditional love that just like he has unconditional love for his devotees, devotees have unconditional love for Krishna. And he manifests that. That's the unique feature, of our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. Like no other tradition that I'm aware of does God enjoy being chastised by his devotee.
Yeah.
Right? We see everywhere, all the traditions, you never see, in any other tradition, I don't want to mention any names, but, we don't see that. Because Krishna is so full of wanting to experience relationships and love.
So then it can seem that Krishna is satisfied by love and devotion, not even knowing himself. It goes beyond that.
Yes, he's tasting the beauty of your consciousness, of the consciousness and attitude of every devotee. He's relishing that. When Radha Kalachandji, when you come before them, and they're seeing, they're not looking at your material beauty. They're looking at the attitude, the devotion from which we bring to the present moment.
Thank you. I do have one clarification. When you said that Radharani is in Krishna's internal potency, what does that look like in their pastime, like a personal relationship? Like, what does that mean? I don't understand. Like, how is he?
So, can you rephrase the question for me? So,
like, how is that manifested? Like, how can we visualize or meditate on Krishna's relationship with Radharani as his internal potency? Like, is it simultaneously one and different? Like, okay,
yes.
So she also has her own form, and then they're having a relationship like that.
Yes, just like we are also simultaneously one and different.
Yeah.
We are in quality one with God, but quantitatively different.
Right.
Prema Mitra, you have a comment?
Yeah, I think, and you can tell me if this is bogus, but what I feel is that, like, to say that she is his internal potency is like she is his heart outside of his body, basically. Like, that's how I can kind of conceptualize it, is like she is, everything in him, yeah, outside of his own existence, but yeah. Yeah, like his heart outside of himself, kind of,
Right.
is like a simple.
Yes, that's a beautiful way of meditating on Srimati Radharani. Yes.
I didn't notice Prabhu gave me the class I was supposed to give yesterday, and I didn't realize I was supposed to read a whole bunch of verses. Oh. Well, I was thinking these are extremely important verses. If if you all are willing to appease my consciousness and hear those verses, it'll take about a minute and a half, if you want. But it'll distract you from what you're doing.
No, you've got time now. It's 8:29, so you got.
Okay.
And time will expand as we
They are.
absorbs ourselves.
Here they are. One should not associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self-realization, and who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman. The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. At the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in form of a stag when she took the form of a hind. Amongst all kinds of living entities begotten by Brahma, namely men, demigods, and animals, none but the sage Narayan is immune to the attraction of Maya in the form of a woman. Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of a woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. The woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. A living entity who, as a result of attachment to a woman in his previous life, has been endowed with the form of a woman, foolishly looks upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets. A woman, therefore, should consider her husband, her house, and her children to be the arrangement of the eternal energy, external energy of the Lord for her death, just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer. And that's it. Thank you very much for...
Thank you.
My consciousness is better. I feel like I didn't do my duty unknowingly, so sorry about that. I did that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And you read it so beautifully. And you read it with, like sometimes you can read things from the Bhagavatam, and if they're not read from the right place, like kind of like if they're read from a place where you're trying to denigrate someone, you feel like agitated, but you read it with such a heart. It's just like there's a saying that people don't care what you know; they want to just know that you care. And that's the beauty of these Bhagavatam verses, that they're coming from a place, not to like put down genders, or but it's actually to protect. There's the predatory mentality of especially of men, and especially in Kali Yuga, to want to exploit women, and to this is to remind them to remind especially us that other places in the Bhagavatam we learn that Srila Prabhupada was equally loving to both male and female disciples. And he said they both equally have the chance to come to Krishna consciousness. That's why Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, right? Whether they be of Sudra or Vaishya or women or anyone can come to me. And this is where this knowledge is coming from. I'm sorry, you have another comment?
Hare Krishna. I have a question. I can understand that in these verses, it's being said that, for a man, woman is Maya. For a woman, also, it's also saying man is Maya. That makes sense. And I also understand that these verses are about materialistic persons engaged in griha medi. It's not about an ashram situation. However, it seems a little unbalanced to me in that a man should avoid the association of beautiful women, but then it says a woman should consider her husband, da 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 da. So, yeah. But also we do hear, this is something that I notice is that like often in ISKCON specifically, men are encouraged to be brahmacharis or, be renounced, and women are encouraged to get married. So how do we understand this kind of contradiction? How can women be protected and be married if all of the men are taking saffron? And if all the men want to take saffron, then should women also learn to be renounced, or is that not going to be appropriate?
Well, this is a wonderful topic for discussion. And I would love to delve into this. But in the interest of time, maybe over breakfast, I just like to end on Mother Kaylee has something that we'd like to share, so we can end on this note, and we can continue this discussion over breakfast.
I just wanted to say really quick, I kind of appreciated reading these because I always had this thought that talking about these kind of pastimes with Radha and Krishna, like their loving relationship, can be a little bit dangerous for us in the material world who are marginal beings, both material and spiritual. To be talking about this kind of relationship, we might mix it with our idea of love from this material perspective. So I do appreciate kind of bringing it back to this, the reality that we're in, and just helping us, these things can help us be more careful in the way that we deal with relationships, not thinking that we are purely spiritual beings, and we are marginal.
Right, it's very balancing, and thank you for bringing that up, to keep those two perspectives in mind. I don't know, Kunti, you have your hand raised? No, okay. You're just stretching out of ecstasy. Haribo. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Sadhu Sangha ki.